neck, the chest backbone where there are ribs connecting the backbones to protect the heart and lungs, okay? And then the lower back where there are no backbones connecting with the ribs. So there's backbone with no ribs, backbone with ribs, backbone no ribs, okay? And these three primary parts, we have different names for them. The neck part, we call neck backbone, is called cervical spine. Neck backbone, cervical spine. So in essence, neck is cervical, backbone is spine. Cervical spine, neck backbone, okay? So the neck backbone has 7 of these bones, so we connected on them. So on the cervical spine, so does letter C, so we also call this part of the spine C-spine, okay? C-spine has 7 of these bones, so we just number them C1 through C7. This is the part of the backbone that has problems, so we're gonna focus on this part, okay? So cervical neck, cervical spine, C-spine, C1 through C7. Pretty good? Okay. So if we count them down, we're gonna count down the area that has the problem. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. Most of the problem happened about in the middle over here. C4 and C5. But if someone just bring the Cal in for me while she's fixing this, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. While they bring this in, the backbone is here not only to allow us to sit straight and walk tall, because without the backbone, we'll just be falling over like a pile of jello. Okay. So the backbone is here to give us some rigidity, so we can sit up straight and walk tall. But it's also got this very important job of protecting this thing called the spinal cord. That's represented by the yellow over here. So the backbone is stacked up on top of each other, but it's got some flexibility because of these discs in between. There's a disc that allows us to be flexible, to allow us to move around. Okay, otherwise you'd be solid, one single solid piece of bone. Okay. All right, she's bringing the computer over so I can show you the picture here. Yeah, switch and swap with you here.
We're just doing a little dancing, that's all.
Okay.
That's
Well, I'll take it while she's trying to get that in there. I'll log into this
Give me just
so
a
we can
second.
do this simultaneously. Okay. We're gonna work on all fronts so we can get this going for you, okay? Have you seen any of the x-rays?
Right when my accident happened, I saw some.
Oh, so somebody did try to explain to you.
Yeah.
But you just don't remember everything, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mrs., you remember seeing the x-rays though?
Oh, yes, and he was awake. He did know he was going to surgery. He actually had a
You just don't
conversation.
remember it.
He's just
I just don't
forgotten.
remember.
Yeah.
You talked to your sister. Anyway,
All right, I'm gonna pull up on here while we're waiting for that thing to go. Oh, sounds like we're getting something done.
Yeah, Miss Tinky, need some help? It's working. I think I just saw the mouse moved. Gotcha.
Woo, hallelujah. All right, we'll get this out of the way.
All right, we can put that in that box and get the cat out of there.
Thank you.
You will. All right, slide.
So there's a reason this TV is this big, so we don't have to stay into that little small screen there. All right, here we go. So this is the MRI of the accident. So let me just. There's hundreds and hundreds of these pictures, and I went through most of them. So I'm going to show you the ones that's most impressive to show you. Okay. So you can see on this backbone here. This is in a sense like somebody can break an arm bone. On this left side, you can see the bones stacked up on top of each other. Numb and paralyzed all over the body. And you broke a neck by the discs, and you got numbness all over the body. Well, it's because of this thing called the spinal cord that we talked about before. And on the back side, you can see the bones in yellow here. That's where you see the picture. That connects up to the brainstem, connects up to the brain. So that's the back side over here. So in essence, each one of these bones form an arch. Being connected with the brain. Actually, it's part of the brain to allow the brain to So if you actually look at it like this,
the brain's
the
like
spinal
the
cord
computer
sits
of our
inside
mind.
the tunnel like
It does
this.
all the
It usually
thinking,
does quite a
does
bit
all
of
the
space, so we
calculation,
go
does
around
all
and all that.
the,
So that the
decision
soft
making.
spinal cord
So at
is
some
pumping
point,
into
if the
the
brain
right
says,
part.
I want to bend the elbow.
So
how's it
you
gonna do
look at
that?
this bone and you,
We
it doesn't
cannot
take a
do that
rocket
wirelessly.
scientist to know.
You ain't got no Wi-Fi to listen to. So it actually sends a little electrical signal down
So
into
if
the
you go
spinal
one
cord
side to
here.
the other, you can
Comes
see that
out
this one
inside
just
this tunnel,
slipped
then
off.
comes out through
Okay.
these little side
And if you
wires.
come over here, this
So the
here
side neck
is
wire
supposed to
goes
be right
to
here.
goes through the arm bone,
So
and the
this
arm
down
nerve
here is supposed
into
to be
the
right
arm
here.
muscle
So not only
to
did
bend the
it
elbow.
jump forward,
At
but
the
it
same
also
time,
got
the
locked
spinal
up
cord sends
by the
messages
bones.
from the brain down
So
the
in
tunnel,
essence, this piece
around
of
to
this
different parts of the
top
body,
part
to the arms, to
went
the
forward,
neck, to the
and
legs,
got
to
locked
the
down.
lower back.
Okay.
And the whole thing
Jumped
actually
and got
ends up
locked
to be
down.
part of the tailbone over here. That's
So
how we can squeeze
You
our
can
butt.
see
That's
that
how we
this
can
part
tell
of
when
the
we
tunnel
got
is
to
much
move.
more narrow than
The
this
spinal cord
part.
not only sends the movement information, but also receives
All right,
sensation
so they have to do
information.
something.
That's how I can tell
Yeah.
something's bugging me over here. But not necessarily there. Out of which
What
are
they did was
dozens,
this.
hundreds,
took
thousands
the
of spots
backbone,
coming in together, joining
Yank
in
it
the
up
arm
a little
nerve,
bit, readjust
joining
it,
into the neck
reset it
nerve,
back.
into the spinal
Now,
cord
to
to
make
make
sure
sure
it
it
doesn't
doesn't shift again. So in
had
essence, if
to
you gotta ask
make
me
it stable.
what is the two most important jobs of the
And
spinal
that's
cord?
what happens
Well,
here.
one is deliver
with
the movement
with the rods
information
in
to
the
different
backside.
parts of the body.
Okay?
But number two is
So,
receive
essence,
sensation information
If
from
y'all can
different
mute
parts
down
of the
for
body.
me on the other
For
side
the
there,
brain.
there's a lot of noise and
So when
intrusion
there's a
coming in.
problem with the
Oh,
spinal
sit
cord
down.
here, but there's a problem with the spinal
Alright,
cord,
okay.
those two primary things
So
doesn't
on the
matter.
back side here,
The movement
you
and
got
the
the-
sensation.
you got the rods on
Which
each
is why with
side.
the spinal cord problem, people have
That's what it looks like
weakness
from the side.
and numbness.
If you look at the front.
Weakness and numbness. Now,
Or
now
if you
we've
really
seen
look
the
at the back,
pictures.
you got
Now
rods on
we've
each
seen
side.
the bones. Now
And
we've
then we
seen
got
the
whole
surgery
bunch
area,
of screws.
Then
screwing
that
the rods
doesn't
in
help us
to keep it
understand
stable.
what
And
part
the whole
of the
reason
spinal
is
cord is
this.
still working.
The rods
Because
is there
as
to keep
bad
the
as
thing
this,
from
the
shifting
bones
again,
look, the
but also
spinal
gives
cord
us
looks
some
stable
ability to
on, it
rigidity.
doesn't tell us
Because
how
what
the
happened
spinal
is
cord
that
working. How can we decide
I
how
think
can we
you've got
find
a
out
lot
how
of
the
noise
spinal
coming in
cord
from that
works?
side. Can
Remember
y'all
the little
just mute
pins
down
and
for me
cups one
once?
test that was done on you?
All right, let's
Is
go
that
back
sharp?
down
Is
to
that dull? Is
here.
that sharp?
I'm
Is
gonna
that
show you
dull?
the
And all
MRI
that.
now.
Can
So
you
the
move your
bones
arms
that
and
you
show
can
by
try to
bend your
x-ray so
elbow,
you
can
can
start
see
to
it.
move your
The
fingers and all
MRI
that.
shows us
That's a very
the
detailed
spinal cord.
exam
So
trying
let's
to tell
take
us
a look at
how
the
the
spinal
spinal cord is working. From that test, we're able to tell that from the fifth neck bone, C5 and above, your spinal cord is working perfectly
I'm
fine.
gonna show you this.
C6 and below,
Alright,
that's where
so
the
this is the
problem
brain,
starts.
and the spinal
Okay.
cord
Remember now,
comes down
the
from the
bone
brain
is broken
stem,
between
goes
C5
into
and
the spinal
C6.
cord here.
So
Sits inside this
C5 and
tunnel.
above is
This is a
perfectly
pretty
fine.
normal part of
C6
spinal
and below,
cord,
that's
and
where
this
the
is a
problem
pretty normal
starts.
part of spinal cord.
So at this
Obviously,
point,
that
we're still able to
leads
find
this to be
some
not so
information
not so
going back
normal
and
part of
forth.
spinal cord.
Okay?
And you can barely
So that
see the
tells
bones
us that
here,
you
but
have
you can
what
see
we
this
call
bone
a
is
C5
moved forward from
incomplete
this other bone
spinal
here.
cord injury.
And you can see this
C5
disc
sensation
that's
movement
supposed to be
incomplete
sitting
spinal
inside the bones like this
Alright.
disc, like
So
that disc.
let's
like
talk a little
that
bit about
disc
how people
is
recover
affected.
from a C5
Okay? So
incomplete
you
spinal
slip,
cord injury
and
like
the
yours.
disc remains
When
here.
you finally got your
it's
memory
broken,
back and all that
and this
stuff,
piece of bone
and
slipped
when you
forward.
got the
Not only that,
got a
now
chance
it
to talk
starts
to
to
the doctors
affect
at
the
the
back
hospital,
part of the
what
tunnel
sense
over
did you
here,
get to
and it
from
puts the
them
spinal
when
cord
you
into
asked
a
them
very
how you going to recover?
difficult bind.
How did they tell
Now,
them? What did they do? What do
pinchers
you
it,
remember them telling
it
you
causes
about
some
your recovery?
swelling above and
I
below.
didn't,
It
I
causes
didn't ask him
paleness
was
over
I
here
going to
because
recover.
of the bruising. and
Asked him was I going to be able to walk again. They said,
So because of this swelling
Time
and
will
bruising
tell.
over here,
Okay.
not only had
We had talked a little
bones
bit about
back,
that when we
but they
first
had
came
to
in.
give
How much time is time?
backbone a little bit of breathing
How much time do you
space. So
gotta
can
wait
see these
before you
spicules
be
that
able
we
to
saw
tell?
before,
How
and you don't
many?
see the spicules here.
as long as it
Because
takes.
what they did was this.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about spinal cord.
Compressed
Cut on her,
The
yeah.
spinal cord is swollen. They
Yeah,
have to make
we
sure
wanna
the
keep
spinal
on
cord
going
is not choking
for as long
inside
as
the
we can.
tunnel.
Thank you.
So they have to create more space to do that.
Right.
So
If you
let's
imagine
talk
this
over
floor
this
to
a
be
little
the
bit.
roof of the house.
Here's
They
what we
actually
did
cut
across
across
this side,
They
across,
Okay.
cut across
So you
that
can
side,
really look
and
very
lift up
different
the
than
roof
all
of
the
the
rest of us.
So that
Your
way
heart
can
can
create
your
more
lungs,
space
your
inside.
liver, longer.
your
okay,
spinal
but
cord. Once
work
they've done
pretty much
that,
all the
they
way up.
decrease
So not much
the amount of bones
So
in there
we
to
know
keep it
that
rigid.
spinal cord
That's what
recovery
the
also
rods are
happened
there
in a
to
certain
keep
way
it rigid,
from
to
all the
keep
people
it
that
solid,
have had
to
spinal
give it
cord
some
injury before
stability
you.
there. So we
Okay?
learned quite a bit
So let's
about
count the
spinal cord
number
recovery.
here.
Here's what we know
This
about
is the
spinal
first
cord,
neck bone,
spinal cord injury,
second
and
neck
spinal cord
bone.
recovery.
So we're
One,
gonna
if
count
a
back
spinal
to
cord
the
is cut in half,
CAT scan over
there's
here.
no way, no how the spinal cord is going to grow another spinal cord. It's almost like, if you cut my arm in half, there's no amount of wishing, praying, exercise, and therapy that's going to grow that arm. Okay? I don't care if you're the closest guy to God, like Pope. You cut Pope's arm in half, and guarantee you ain't going to grow another arm.
Let's count back
Okay?
here.
So we do
First
know
neck
that spinal
bone.
cord has some limitations.
Tiny little one here.
So now
Second
let's talk a
neck
little bit
bone.
about
C3,
if a spinal cord is not cut in
C4,
half.
C5,
Some of the limitations
C6.
we know, how
Okay.
is a spinal
So
cord
the problem
recovered
starts
for everybody?
between C5 and
We do know
C6.
this. When the
So that's
bone
one
shifted,
level. There's many
it pushed
levels
down to
we
the
talk
spinal
about.
cord. It's almost like somebody sits
The
on my neck.
surgical level is
And
different.
if I do that, what's
The
going to
surgical
happen?
level goes
Well, I
from
may not get enough
C1,
blood to the brain.
C3,
I mean, I may get enough
C4, C5,
oxygen to the
C6,
brain.
C7.
So if you do that, if
to
you've got
the
some
very
guy
next one
big,
actually belongs to
300
the
pounds
chest
sitting
part
on
of
my
the
back, what's going to
backbone,
happen?
which got a different
Well,
name.
I'm not going to get
So
oxygen.
the neck
I'm
part
not
of the
going to get
backbone is called
nutrients. I'm
cervical
gonna pass
spine.
out.
The chest
And
part of
that's
the
how
backbone is
spinal
called
cord
thoracic
works. If you
spine
put
or
the
T
pressure
spine.
on the
So this is the
spinal
very
cord,
next
and
T
there's
bone, so
no,
we call it T1.
oxygen,
It
nutrients
gets
that
confusing,
the
so
spinal
you
cord
can
can
just
get.
ignore that part.
And
In essence,
consequence of
you
that,
got the
that spinal
rods,
cord
it
can
goes
do its
above
job,
and below
which is
the
like
injury
deliberately
area.
move
So the
information
injury
from
area
the brain to
begins
different parts
is
of the body.
counted again.
Receiving sensation
First,
information
second,
from different
third,
parts of the
fourth,
body to tell the
fifth,
brain
and
what's going
sixth.
on.
That's where
And
the
that's
injury
what
level
people are
happens.
weakness and
Okay.
those.
So it's
But the
right
minute that the
right
pressure
down
is
smack
taken
in
out
the
of the
middle
spinal
where
cord,
the
then the
surgery was done.
recovery clock
Okay.
starts.
All right. So
Meaning
again,
the day
the
after
front
the
looks like
surgery
that.
is put back
The
in,
side looks
put your
like
bones
that.
back in
Okay.
and stabilizes
And
it. So
again,
the spinal cord
when
can
we
be
look
free,
at this,
and you got all the bone taken out from the backside.
see
so
the spinal cord being
the
pinched,
spinal cord has
being
room to
bruised,
go. Then
the
recovery
paleness that
clock
starts from here went up all the way
At first, it goes pretty
to
slow.
about right here, and there's still some
Day one,
tension over
maybe
here.
5 nerves working out. But
Which
the
is why
fact
they
is that
release the
inside the spinal
backbone
cord,
from
if we
here
take a
all the
microscope,
way up
look
there.
inside it.
All right,
by
now that we've
billions
seen
and billions
most of
nerves
everything
inside.
here, let's talk a
And
little
those
bit
billions and
about.
billions tiny little nerves actually connects up with the billions and billions of nerves inside the brain.
Dr. Lynn, please forgive me. Mr. Adams, I think it's time for your weight shift.
Oh, thanks.
I know I was doing some logistics and my timer's not on, but it's time for your weight shift.
Do you have a timer that the nurses are giving you?
I just count in my head.
Oh, okay.
We do it top and bottom of the hour.
Okay.
It's 9:36.
I was looking. I was,
Yeah, that's, I'm like, I know when he came in.
Yeah,
he said
sometimes when we get talking, then we can forget. Yeah, so.
Right. You know, time it as soon as we get going. Hold on.
So once you've got lean all back, I'll keep on talking. Can you hear me okay though?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So we do know the job of the
You know,
brain.
Tim.
Bernice will keep an eye on that 1 minute for you, okay? So we do know the job of the brain, which is to make all the decision making. We do know the job of the spinal cord is to deliver the information back and forth. We do know that when the spinal cord is being pushed down, then it doesn't get deliver that information. We just talked about how what the surgery is necessary to give the spinal cord a chance to come back, because then that's when the pressure is off, the oxygen and nutrients go back in. All right, so far so good. So with that being said, the day the surgery is done, then the recovery clock starts. First day may be 5 nerves breaking out. Next day may be 20, next day may be 7, next day may be 12. But the fact is that 20 nerves out of a gazillion billion, you can't really tell that much difference. And that's how people usually are when they recover. Day by day, they may not be able to tell a lot of difference. But for sure, though, week by week, they can say, well, I think I can feel a little bit more than last week. Well, I think I can move my legs a little bit better than last week. Come on back up. Come on, the minute's on.
Yeah, it's time to come back up, Mr. Adams. Thank you so much.
So from week to week, then people can tell a little bit more. As a matter of fact, when you got here, we were talking, and you were saying that, hey, you seem like you've gotten a little bit more in your legs since the accident, since the surgery. Okay. So, but for sure though, day by day, the spinal cord keeps on going. So much so, by the end of 3 months, most people recovering from this kind of injury would have seen about a third to about a half of their total recovery. Okay? Kind of complicated, I'll come back to this. By the end of 1 year, spinal cord recovery should have seen about 95% of whatever somebody's going to recover. Now, everybody recovers a little bit differently. But by the 1 year, 95% of whatever that person is going to recover would have been done and over with. Okay? Another 5% of recovery may happen
the second year, but that 5% is really nothing compared to the 95% the first year. After 2 years, spinal cord has nothing to do with somebody getting better. So while we just talked about how long, well, that time is now days or weeks, but there's some limitation on that time. It's about a year, 95%, 2 years for the whole thing to wrap up. Okay. So how does this apply to you? Let's go over this a little bit. Remember I just said at the end of about 3 months, most people would have seen about a third to about half of their total recovery. Okay. So this much we know, about a third of recovery by the end of 3 months. Okay. So the other things we know is that unfortunately you're not the first person that got injuries like this. You're not the first person that got knocked over. You're not the first person whose neck got broken. As a matter of fact, you've seen plenty of people on this floor, if not on the other floors, that have the same problem. Okay. So let's take 3 people with your type of injury 2 years ago. You said, why do we do that? Well, it's because 2 years takes about 2 years or so for the spinal cord to recover, to wrap up. So if we take these people from 2 years ago, they have your similar injury, meaning the what? They had the similar knockdown, they had similar slip the bones, C5, C6, they had the same kind of spinal cord being pinched on, spinal cord not being cut, they had the same kind of surgery to put it back. Okay? You can imagine there's thousands of people that have spinal cord injury, so it wouldn't be that hard to find 3 people out of the crowd that had the same kind of injury 2 years ago. Okay? Meaning what? By now they would have completed their spinal cord recovery. And the reason we pick these 3 people out of the crowd is because they recover very differently. Even though they have the same kind of injury, they all recover very differently. And that's because why? Because we do know that people with your type of recovery, when the spinal cord is not cut in half, they can recover differently. Some people can recover a lot, like I said. Some people can recover very limited. Okay? So which also tells us the MRI scan that you got, well, it tells us what the injury was, what the spinal cord looks like, puffiness and all that stuff. It actually does not predict an outcome. MRI does not tell us who's going to recover better than other people. Okay? So this much you know. So now we got these 3 people. These 3 people recover differently, even though they got the same kind of injury. First guy, we call him unlucky Joe number 1. Unlucky Joe number 1, he had the same kind of injury that you had, same looking MRI, but he never recovered one single day. Half lucky Joe number 2, he had your same injury, same kind of MRI, but he recovered exactly 50% of everything he lost. Lucky Joe number 3, he recovered 100% by the end of 2 years. Okay? So this is what they look like 2 years into their recovery. Nothing, 50%, 100%. What would they have looked like 3 months into their recovery? Remember now, I said 3 months into their recovery, they should recover about a third of their total recovery. So if this is their total recovery, about a third of that would have happened at the end of 3 months after their recovery. 50%, a third of that would have been that. Nothing would have been that, right? So meaning that what? If you pull these 3 people out of the crowd and take a look at them 3 months into their recovery, this is what you would have seen. Nothing, a little bit, and a whole lot, right? So what's the lesson learned here? Number 1, if somebody has no recovery by the end of 3 months, no more new sensation, no more new movement, then that person, we don't have to wait for 2 years to tell that person, you're probably not going to get much better. Okay? We know you're not that guy because you already improved, right? So now, what happened to the other 2? How do we know who's going to be? If by the end of 3 months, somebody has a little bit of recovery, but not a whole lot, then that person, we're a little bit optimistic they may have a little bit more, but not 100% of recovery. If by the end of 3 months, somebody has leaps and bounds of recovery, then we're much more optimistic and hopeful that person will have continues to have more, if not complete recovery. The other way to look at it is that since by the end of 3 months, it's about a third of the recovery, which also means what? What you get by the end of 3 months, you can pretty much double more. Okay? So which means that what? If somebody by the end of 3 months, all they got is 1 more toe movement, all right? Maybe they'll get 2 more toe movements by the end of the whole thing, but not a lot. But if somebody by the end of 3 months, they have leaps and bounds, they can move their legs, they can move their thighs, they can move their knees, they can bend their elbow and wrist and all that, then that person will be a little bit more optimistic. They may have a lot more, if not full recovery. Okay. Now knowing that, a lot of people ask me, wow, what you're saying is that the more recovery I have at the end of 3 months, the more recovery I will have down the road, right? But that's what, in essence, what we're saying.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, well, if the first 3 months is so critical, what is it that we can do to maximize my chance of the whole thing if I can maximize what I get the first 3 months? Should I be doing something different? Should I be taking, supplements? B12, folate, ginkgo biloba, John's wort, or whatever I can get a hold of. Because if there's a supplements I need to be taking, I'll be taking it. Okay? So we actually done a lot of research about this. Not only have we done on supplements, we've done on medications, pills, IVs, drugs, steroids, growth hormones. We've done it on everything. We looked high and low and all that because we had about 30, 40 years looking at spinal cord and recovery, spinal cord research, and we had thrown everything at it. Unfortunately, even in 2020 today, after all that we've done, we haven't found one single thing that people can take by medication, by pills, by IVs, and all that actually can change the way spinal cord recovers. Which also means what? Spinal cord is going to recover however it's going to recover without pills, IVs, drugs, supplements. It doesn't mean we never tried. As a matter of fact, we keep on trying. Back in the early 90s, we thought this steroids called methylprednisolone was going to do it. And after about 10 years of testing it, we realized it did. Fast forward 10 years, we found this growth hormone called GM1 ganglioside. And the people got all excited, but it didn't do it. And fast forward another 10 years, we got this other pill called 4-aminopyridine. So, long story short, over the years we keep on finding these things and we keep on looking at them, but we never did find anything. Okay? Doesn't mean that tomorrow, next week, next month, we won't find something different. But today in 2020, we haven't found any single medication that can heal the spinal cord any different. Okay? So a lot of people ask me, okay, maybe you don't have the medications. What about surgeries? I mean, you've done the surgery on the bones, but if the spinal cord is damaged, why didn't you do the surgery on the spinal cord? That would sound reasonable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the spinal cord is what's wrong. Why didn't you touch the spinal cord? Why did you only touch the bones? Well, that's because inside the spinal cord are billions, tiny little wires that you can only see under the microscope called nerves. The surgeons in today don't have enough medical technology trying to go in there, operate on the spinal cord to rehook each one of those nerves. It's almost like somebody had a stroke of the brain. There's no way we can go in there and try to rehook the wires in the brain to undo the damage of a stroke. Okay? So the spinal cord is so complicated, we don't have technology to go in there and do the surgery to heal it. Now people ask me all the time, well, doc, man, what happened to that thing I saw on TV? 60 Minutes reported this thing with the stem cells, people get from, the fat, the bone marrow, the babies and all that. Well, what's going on with stem cell? Why can't we use a stem cell? Well, let me give you a quick update, and if you haven't seen that 60-minute thing or the news or whatever about stem cells. The good news about stem cell in 2020 is that over the last 10 years, we have made a lot of advancement on stem cells. As a matter of fact, today, we're able to make stem cells grow. We're able to make stem cells grow like nerves. We're able to make stem cells grow like nerves in the spinal cord. The bad thing in 2020 about stem cell is that we've only been able to do that in the labs. We haven't been able to make those stem cells grow inside people's body. Much even less, we haven't been able to make it grow inside animals' body. We haven't been able to make it grow like in rabbits or rats or monkeys or anything. So most people think we're close. Most scientists think we're close. We just got to find that last little thing to help us get into people's body. Okay? So who the heck knows? Maybe next month, next year, there's somebody will announce something. But today, nobody on this planet has one single stem cell that we can put inside your body to make it work. It's almost like 100 years ago. Simple things like this cell phone. The richest man 100 years ago cannot go by himself one cell phone that will work. Because 100 years ago, they haven't been invented. Same thing today. The Bill Gates, Donald Trump, they got all the money in the world. They cannot go around the world to buy themselves one single stem cell that will work inside their body, just mostly because nobody has found it yet. Okay? So we're still holding our breath on the stem cell. So a lot of people say, well, that's kind of crappy. I come to the largest spinal cord rehab hospital in this whole country here in Shepherd, and for you to tell me you ain't got the medications, you ain't got the surgeries, or the stem cell to heal my spinal cord any sooner, better, and faster. Then you said, well, all right, I've always been a hardworking guy. You proved it on the day of your injury. You've always been hardworking. You said, all right, step aside.
you doctors are useless. You ain't got nothing for me, so I'm gonna work hard, right? I'm gonna work hard in therapy. I'm gonna work hard in exercises. I'm gonna get myself better. Okay. So really, the question is this: how much therapy? What kind of therapy? What kind of activity? What is the right kind? What is not the right kind? How much too much? How much too little? Well, we've done a lot of research about this. So the good thing about the activity, exercise, and therapy research that we had the last 20 years is that we found activities, exercise, and therapy actually changes the way nerves recover. As a matter of fact, nerves can recover very differently with exercise and therapy. But the bad thing about those research is that we found that only happens with the nerves in the brain, but not the nerves in the spinal cord. I said, well, Doc, that doesn't make no sense. You just told me, you just showed me the picture and you showed me the MRI that the nerves in the spinal cord connects up with the nerves in the brain. So how come exercise and therapy only helps with the nerves in the brain, but not the nerves in the spinal cord? All right? That has to do with how they're designed. Let me backtrack a little bit. 6 months ago, you didn't know this place, right? 6 months ago, you didn't know my name, you didn't know Bernice's name, you didn't know what the cafeteria is. But since then, you learned all that. Even though every single part of your body is connected to the brain, we do know that your ears didn't learn that. Your nose didn't learn that.
Right.
Your eyes didn't learn that. What part of your brain learned that? What part of your body learned that? The brain, because the brain is designed to learn that. Brain is designed to be flexible, adaptive, so you can learn new things, can adapt to exercise and therapy. So that way, when you exercise, let's say that you go practice shooting hoops, then you can be better at it because you practice at it and you reroute those nerves in the brain, but not anywhere else. So we do know this. Spinal cord is hardwired in. If you think about this, the brain is sort of like the computer. And the spinal cord is nothing but that cable connecting the spinal cord. The spinal cord is the cable connecting the brain, the computer, to the internet, like the internet cable. So that cable is pretty simple. Even though it's metal, just like the metal inside the computer, it's designed very differently. Okay? So in essence, the spinal cord, because it's designed differently, doesn't really necessarily change too much with exercise and therapy. So now people ask me, well, okay, if the spinal cord recovery doesn't change with pills, medications, no surgery,